All right, I wanted to circle back today and have a conversation about the Oklahoma City Thunder and the red hot start they are off to so far this season. They are 20-1, and this is by far the best start to a championship defense season since Golden State back in the 2015-2016 season. Just throwing this out there, when Golden State got off to this hot start in their championship defense season, they ended up becoming a dynasty. So I'm not saying OKC is going to be as good as the Warriors in their prime years, but we have had a lot of conversations and debates about who that next dynasty is going to be in the NBA, and the Thunder have made a very, very strong first impression here. They're doing it with a strong two-way attack, similar to last season, currently sitting at the number 6 spot in offensive rating and number 1 in defensive rating. And what's most impressive is the fact that they played for a majority of this season so far without their second best player in Jalen Williams. Now, J-Dub is back on the court and healthy, but still very impressive to know that this team could get off to this hot start without having one of their most important players on the court. I want to focus specifically on SGA for a while. I really think his case for being the best player in the NBA is heating up to a massive extent. And I feel like people were very reluctant to give him that title as the best player in the league after winning that championship last year and having really one of the greatest guard seasons in NBA history. He ends up winning a title, wins finals MVP, won league MVP, was the scoring champion. And with all of that, people still did not give him that entire title or that love as the best player in the NBA, or put him in that conversation with guys like Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Was it his playing style? Was it the foul baiting? Was it Oklahoma City being this team that was easy to hate on because of their physical style of play? Whatever it was, people were not ready to give him that title as the best player in the league, or at least include him in that conversation with guys like Jokic and Giannis. But right now at this point, I feel like it's an unavoidable conversation to have. He has been just that good. He is putting up over 30 points per game on efficient all-around splits, making over half of his looks and over 40% of his shots from downtown, and he is a hair away from being 50-40-90 on the season, and he also has a very solid two-way attack. He is contributing at a high level to the most dominant defense in the NBA. Then there's the fact that he led the Thunder to this hot start in the absence of their second best player in Jalen Williams, and he is the NBA's most clutch player at this point in time. He is the leader in clutch points per game with over 9 a night, and he has 80 total clutch points on the season on over 50% shooting, and that was on full display last night against Portland. So all of those things taken into consideration, his case for being the best player in the NBA, or at least being in that conversation, is very strong, and that conversation is becoming unavoidable for him at this point. Here's my entire thing. If you had no problem having Luka Doncic in that conversation, right, as the best player in the NBA, and having him up there with like a Jokic or Giannis, you should have zero issue with Shai also being in that conversation. If you have issues with the fouls and the free throws, Luka takes more free throws. Giannis takes more free throws. I know SGA takes a lot, but I think like keeping him from that conversation because of free throws or because of foul baiting is unfair, because two other guys that could be in that conversation, and Luka and Giannis, are also guys who take a lot of free throws. So excluding SGA from that conversation and from that list seems very disingenuous at this point. As I said, he has been so good, and having him in that combo is really unavoidable, and you can't ignore it anymore. So on the season, I do think Jokic is the current MVP, right? He's averaging a triple-double, and the Nuggets are good, but I think SGA's case is almost as compelling once again with what he's doing individually, with his efficiency, and also the defense, and the fact that Oklahoma City is by far the most dominant team in all of basketball. I love Luka and what he has done for the Lakers. His stat line is absolutely ridiculous, and LA has also been really, really good, but I do think the MVP debate is going to come down to SGA and Jokic once again, and there is a world where SGA is able to edge Jokic and win his second consecutive league MVP award. That is how dominant he has been as this hybrid guard throughout the season and throughout the last couple of seasons in general. On top of that, Chet Holmgren is having the best season of his career so far on both ends and is making a very strong case for Defensive Player of the Year. J-Dub is slowly getting back into rhythm, but I want to focus specifically on a backcourt mate of SGA in Cason Wallace, who has been very impressive on both ends himself. He is making his own strong individual case for Defensive Player of the Year. He has been one of the best perimeter defenders across the entire league, leading the NBA in steals per game, and in back-to-back nights held Luka Doncic and Stephen Curry to a combined 30 points on 33% shooting and 16% shooting from downtown as their primary defense. defender. He has been so good on the defensive end, and on top of that is making his shots at a high rate, draining 37% of his looks from downtown. So OKC literally has a cavalcade of elite level top tier 2A players. There's J-Dub, there's Chet, there's SGA, who is solid from a 2A perspective, and there is this guy in Cason Wallace, who has been so good as this 3-and-D threat and one of the best primary defenders across the entire league. This team is very, very scary. And again, as I said, the last time we saw a team get off to this hot of a start in their championship defense season was the Warriors. I'm going to go right back to it and say that I'm not saying OKC is going to be that great, but if we are having a debate and a conversation about who the next dynasty is going to be, the Thunder are making a super, super strong initial impression here. Now, you could point at their strength of schedule, right? They have not played a lot of elite level defenses so far this season, but nonetheless, this is a very impressive start and is signaling to the NBA that they're going to be one of the most dominant teams across the entire league for a while. Just seeing their progression from being this rebuilding group into being a legitimate powerhouse has been amazing to see. One of the best rebuilds we have ever seen in NBA history. The biggest thing for this team, as it goes for any team that is looking to contend for a title or win multiple titles, is health and consistency. I feel like at this point you can really rely on their consistency. The health is going to be the biggest thing by far, with J-Dub having some issues here and there, and Chet is not the healthiest player in the NBA, but nonetheless, very impressive start, and hopefully they can keep their foot on the gas and keep this thing moving for as long as they can.